Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Community Conversation. I'm Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee, and every Wednesday evening we've been broadcasting this with Ben Barber's help to broadcast out those important issues that are happening in the state of Rhode Island. And tonight is no different. We've been touring all the small businesses in the state. I'll end my tour of going to every single community in the state of Rhode Island probably on the day after Thanksgiving, when my wife Susan and I will take the high-speed ferry to Block Island and make that our 39th visit of all the communities, talking to small businesses. But a few weeks back, we were in West Greenwich and had a great event, time there with visiting small businesses. But the Mishnock Barn was one of the highlights of the trip. And we've invited Dan and Kelly back on tonight to, give us a demonstration, a dance demonstration of some sort that I'm looking forward to, but also to talk about, the impact that this COVID virus, this health pandemic that we're going through is impacting small businesses in the state of Rhode Island, including theirs, which is a real unique place. And one of the great things about being Lieutenant Governor, and even during this time frame, is that we get to discover this beautiful state we have, and visiting all these communities. We're seeing things that, places that I have never visited, and I'm sure that others in the state of Rhode Island hasn't. So when we're done tonight, we're going to want to make sure that you pay Dan and Kelly a visit at the Mishnock Barn. Before we get into, and then we're going to have also some guests here that are in the music. Music's our theme tonight, and we're going to have Kevin from the Epic Theater in Cranston, and to listen on how they've adjusted digitally to the theater that they've had operating and what they've done there, and along with Mike, who's a musician from Westerly, one of our favorite communities in the state. Before I start, I just want to reinforce some of the things that we've been working on this week. We've been working on with the Rhode Island Coalition of Businesses, Small Business Coalition. Go to rismallbusiness.org and register your business if you're watching now. And the coalition put together a letter to the General Assembly asking for their help in allocating some of the federal dollars that's been given to the state to appropriate for grants, and to get more aggressive on that as we come up on the deadline, which is December 30th, to get the money out. We're still sitting on several hundred millions of dollars, and other states are providing stronger assistance into that small business community. So we've asked for a combination of $75 million more to go to our small businesses, so businesses like Kelly and Dan's can catch another check before the end of the year. And also, if we're going to shut down businesses, and we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but we already have had Central Falls step up and shut down inside dining. Providence has taken measures as well. We're expecting that more will happen, but put another $75 million into the mix for these businesses that have been asked to close to keep us safe, and then use some of those dollars to help the staff members and the employees that are going to get negatively impacted by any reversal of where we are in our business today. So we've been working on that. And then also I want to just, talk about the education piece again. I'm sharing this. Anybody who's got interest in education, as I do, they know that, virtual learning and the dilemma that we've been facing in our public schools right now is whether you're in a public school or private school, quite frankly, whether you're middle income, high income, low income, whether you're minority, non-minority households, kids in those households are losing out on hundreds of hours of learning time, and we got to do something intentionally to fix that. My recommendation is that we create these education departments, municipal education departments, like I did as a mayor in Cumberland, and we have a mayor's office for children, youth, and learning 52 weeks out of the year. We have retired teachers, we have underemployed teachers teaching young kids from 4 years old all the way through high school on reading and math and science and music and art and theater and leadership. And, it's been a tremendous resource since 2007 when I opened that up as mayor. And then Mayor Murray, Bill Murray operated it during the time he was mayor for 4 years. And now Mayor Jeff Mutter, he's operating that as well. It's a tremendous asset, and it's one that could really be used in every community in the state to help these young kids that are losing out on hundreds of hours of learning time, which in the long run is going to impact our economy, because We know that lost learning time like this will impact the earning power of the students today unless we do something, to catch up on that learning time. And so from May 2019 to May of 2020, or until that vaccine comes, we know that our students are losing valuable education time. We need to do something about it. So if you got any ideas about how we can, address this issue, we can't only put so much on the back of our district schools and our charter schools. They got enough to handle just to try to cope with the health crisis that we're dealing with and the staffing issues that they have. And so call our office 222-2371, and we'd be happy to talk to you. This is going to be an ongoing conversation about the education, just as the small businesses are right now. So if we could bring on Dan and Kelly, this is what a treat we have tonight. And you're right in the barn, right, Dan and Kelly?
We are right here at the Mishnock Barn.
We are.
Unbelievable. It is, tell us, share a little bit before you do a little demonstration, and I'm really happy you're doing it tonight for the enjoyment of the hundreds of thousands of people who are going to actually end up watching this. By the way, if you're watching, share this out. Your friends should be watching this as well, so share this with your friends. The more shares we get, the more people here, see what's going on in Rhode Island and hear about these stories. But tell us a little bit about the history of the barn. And tell us a little bit about, and then we'll get into more of what's happening right now with you. But tell us the history of barn. It is fascinating. It is a flashback to a time in the past, but also right now you've adjusted your business so that it's active, very, very active right now today.
Yeah, the Mishnock Barn started, believe it or not, the business here at Lake Mishnock Grove started in 1929 with my grandfather, John I. Olbro, who was actually a senator, one of the youngest senators in Rhode Island. And he was a very capable man. He had a sawmill, and they would save all the sawdust from the sawmill, and then they would put their ice that they would cut off the lake out here and cover it up with the sawdust, and they would sell soda in 1929 at the beach. And then they built a snack bar. What was popular was the roller skating rink that was actually originally going to be a shore dinner hall right on the lake, but they went on vacation before they opened up, and they came back learning how to roller skate, so they turned it into a roller skating rink. And that was very popular. Back even when I was a teenager, on a Friday night, if you weren't at the roller skating rink and you lived locally, you were grounded. It was that popular. So then in the 40s, my father and my grandfather built what is the structure of the barn as a palladium. And the walls, there were no walls on it. It was wide open post and beam. And they would have a lot of country acts come through in the summer. It was just a summer business. And, Minnie Pearl was here. The Grand Ole Opry came through on their summer tour. Roy Acuff, I've got a picture of Roy Acuff. Roy Acuff sitting on the picnic table out here. And then, so in the 40s. Then in 1970, 71, my uncle, Eddie Zach and the Hayloft Jamboree, he and my mother closed in part of this structure, and they started playing here on Saturday nights.
Country music.
They had great dances here. And, of course, Eddie Zach and the Hayloft Jamboree was a great, great country band playing that classic country music. And they played, that's how my mother and my father met, actually, was here when they were playing one summer. So then that leads us up to the 70s. Now, in 1976, we were playing at a club down the road in Coventry, and we're packing the place, and we were kind of a little upset with how we would be treating, I should say. So anyways, I said, well, my mother's club's not doing anything on Friday nights. Why don't we play there on a Friday night? So we said, okay, let's do that. So we put some advertisement out, just painted a piece of 4x8 plywood and the band's name, and we're going to be here at the Mishnock Barn. And that night, over 300 people showed up, and we were blindsided. We were not prepared for that many people, and that was about 1976. So that started the rock and roll era, which lasted till 1992, and it was a fun era. We had a lot of great bands play here, and a lot of fun parties, and a lot of great times. Mm-hmm. And of course, I met my wife playing in a band in Lake George. She's from Lake George, New York.
Nice.
Not local, but we still shop maybe some apples from Lake George. Anyways, So that brings us up to 1992, where the rock and roll scene was just not doing what it should do, and everything was changing as things do. So going along with that change, we decided to go into country line dancing and partner dancing, which everybody said we were crazy to do because country music never comes northeast, stays south or stays out in the west. But we did it anyways, and that was 92. And since then, we've built a business that we enjoy. It, they say if you find something you like to do, you never work a day in your life.
Yep.
The people that come out here, the customers that are attracted to the line dancing, because it's a good activity. It's physical, so you get some good physical. It's also very keeps that mind working, learning the steps. So we developed like more of a family, than a clientele, And when I say a family, I mean probably 300 or 400 people strong that I consider my family. So I have a big family. Yeah. Thanksgiving's going to look different this year. We're not going to invite the whole family over.
Yeah, well, definitely the virus has changed the world for us. But Dan, you lent me a book about that your dad wrote that really brought you through those early years that you're talking about after the war and what it meant to not only the community of West Greenwich, but the families that would visit there, in their summer cottages, and how they would, look forward to that, and the people who were the young people that were employed as lifeguards, and young kids peeling the potatoes, and that was a go-to place at that time, right? You don't do a half a ton of potato French fries on a Saturday unless there's a number of people that are showing up, and that's the type of place it was, right? It gravitated people to that location.
It was definitely a family place to go on the weekends, and they would go through so many potatoes. Speaking of, like, we have the coronavirus, but of course back in the 50s we had the polio scare. I think it was the 50s, right?
40s.
Yes.
40s. And I remember because Joe Carrillo, who was like the carousel king, if you're into carousels, you know his name. He was up and down the East Coast with all sorts of carousels. He would lease pieces of property. He leased a piece of property off my grandfather and put a carousel in. And of course, in the 50s with the polio scare, the business just dropped. Nobody knew where it was coming from or how they were going to get it. Maybe it could be in the water. Just like us, in the beginning of this scare, we didn't know, I remember I was spraying every doorknob. Every morning I would get up at 5, this in the COVID-19 era, and I would spray all the doorknobs, and I would spray the sinks and anything that people touched, Now we know it's more airborne than it is touched. So, I haven't been,
and Kelly, doing that. But. The barn had a great history and the lake and it was a focal point, especially during the summer times. But today, you've created a real event destination place with Dan and the country music. When I went there, you started to explain to me the type of activity that you had in the barn before the COVID hit. Just kind of share what that looked like in your mind, and share the energy that that you were providing to the people who live in Rhode Island, but also far beyond Rhode Island, far beyond our borders, right?
Yeah, we were open 5 nights a week for line and partner dancing. It's probably the only club, probably in New England, that did country dancing full time. It's 5 nights a week, and some of the customers, the dancers, were coming in, some of them 2-3 nights a week. We also did weddings, lots of fundraisers, outdoor events, bike runs or car shows. And we actually reached not just, locally, but all over Rhode Island and New England on a weekly basis. And we have made friends in Europe, Canada, and they would come and visit, sometimes bringing buses with them from Canada or from Delaware or places like that. And it just became a place where people would, make friends, hang out with their friends. They dance. They might get a beverage from the bar or a piece of pizza from the snack bar. But basically, it was just music and dancing and a safe social place to be. Fun, kind, non-judgmental. And I think the social contact is probably what we miss the most and what our dancers miss the most.
Yeah, so the world is different right now, and it's challenging. Kind of describe, the challenges that we talked about, and the concerns that you have, that you carry, that many of our small businesses, including myself and my family, who are anchored in small business. Dan, my grandfather started the business, family business, as an ice business. So when you're talking about the ice, and he would do the ice, my dad and his two brothers would deliver the ice, up to the third floor refrigerators. That was back in 1917 that he started that. So we fully understand this family business and how important it is, not only to the families, but also the people who work there, and also the community is served. But give us a a little overview, as you did, the dates, like at a certain point you knew you needed to close, and the reasons why, and then the challenges that you faced for the last several months, Kelly.
Well, we had actually been at a dance weekend that we run twice a year in the Catskills, and we were already starting with no shaking hands, no hugging. There was sanitizer everywhere. The hotel did a great job keeping things clean and not sanitized. We came back holding our breaths and making sure everybody was okay, because it really was just starting. That was the first weekend in March.
In March, yeah.
So we get back. The club is open Monday through Saturday that week. And then it comes in that we're going to close down. I think we could be open Monday, but we decided not to. We actually closed after Saturday night. We did not open. We had a big fundraiser, which we still have all the raffle gifts for, but we had a fundraiser plan. We canceled that, and we shut down our regular lessons and all of it, out of respect for the unknown of what was coming up. That was March 16th, I believe. So we have not been open to the general public since then, because the size of the club is 8,000 square feet. The capacity is over 700, and dance floor space, we've got 3,500 square feet. And when you get a couple hundred people in here dancing, it's just not inside a safe scenario today. So after that, we shut down, and I go into not panic mode. I go into, what do I have to do? I go into, let's put out fires. So I start contacting the banks and the mortgage companies and listening to the governor. I'm applying for whatever things I can apply for, like the PPP and the bridge loan and the small business loan. And I was able to kind of struggle through some of those things. Some of them were very arduous and time consuming. But I was able to go through them. A little frustrating sometimes, because you finish this 9-page application and then come back and say, thanks for that, but here's a new one. Yeah. You need to fill one out too. So some of that was a bit much. I did notice when I applied for the Restore Rhode Island grant, it was nice that they had a thing in there that I think it was on the second application, that if you had already applied for such and such and you got the grant money for that, then you can kind of skip over a few questions to get to the next part, because you've already been kind of vetted. So that made it a lot easier. My biggest concerns are with, like, we're keeping a few people on payroll, but the PPP was only about 2.5 months worth. So it ran out in September. Now we're approaching December. So I'm dipping into monies that have to be paid back. They're not grants. It's a loan from the Small Business Association from the government. So my concerns is how do we keep paying employees so that we don't lay them off without a business open and without any more help for the PPP. So that would be my other thing, is if they're shutting people down again, God forbid, people that opened and now they got to close again. There's a loss with product, and I worry about that. That's why
it's not a good scenario at all, and that's why and I want to kind of get a more of an upbeat end to this. You're going to give us a demonstration of what happens in your club, and we're all looking forward to that. By the way, I just saw many texts about people who are going to miss the New Year's Eve party, and from Linda Rosa, and I hear I'm going to miss the New Year's Eve, and Nicole
Yep.
Petroselli's out there. This is your family members, I would imagine. I just saw
Yes,
Nancy
they
Bai
are.
from Jamestown say that she attended a wonderful wedding there. And so you built up a lot of goodwill with your customers. They're going to hang in there, but the state and the federal government have obligations that they have, stepped up to the plate. But I think we need to do more, and that's why we're going to keep on pushing hard for the governor to really listen to your story, listen to these stories about these small businesses. You're not alone. It doesn't give you, misery loves company, I suppose, but you're not alone. But at the same point in time, this coalition of small businesses that we've been able to put together, and then on their initiative, that they sent a letter out to the General Assembly, and so we want to talk to all our General Assembly members out there. If you're listening in, contact your General Assembly members. Share Kelly and Dan's story with them. This is not just happening in West Greenwich. This is happening throughout the state of Rhode Island. So we're going to hang in there with you, and then let's make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that when the vaccine comes, those businesses that have been interrupted, as yours has, that is ready and strong to kind of continue the wonderful tradition that we just went over, which is, 80 years plus right now, right, Dan? Close to 80 years, right?
Oh, it's over
92.
90 years, 92 years. So we want that tradition to keep alive, and we'll be fighting with you, and make sure you stay in touch. But you have something prepared for us tonight that you want to
Yeah,
introduce
I
and
was
talk
told that
about?
I'm going to teach you how to do a line dance.
Aren't you going to get up?
Well, I could get up. Let me see. Let's see how that'll go. Let me see. I'll transfer a part of the house here. Hold on a second. All right. Let me see whether I can do this. We'll see.
All right.
But no.
We have a couple of our sons. We have 5 sons.
Yeah,
And
5
I think a
sons.
few of
Okay.
them are going to join us for the demonstration.
Okay. Let me see what we got here. I don't know whether you can see me or not, but I will do my best. But no laughing. We don't want to have any laughing.
All right. Okay. So this is an easy dance I'm going to teach you.
Okay.
As long as you can count to 8, you're going to be fine.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to back up so you can see my footwork.
Okay.
Move forward more.
Zach, put the lights on the
Oh, you're
outside.
fine.
Just hit the
You're fine.
switches.
You're
All
fine.
right. Here we go. Hey, if
Are you
any-
ready?
Dan, if anybody's watching at home, they should be up like me trying to figure this out.
In a day when there's so much to figure out, right? All right, so we're going to lead with the right foot. We're going to step forward right 1 and touch our left toe and clap your hands on 2. So that's just a step and then touch the left toe. Angle forward left and then
All right,
just touch the right toe.
Okay, hold on. Make sure I'm in this thing here. Okay.
Step, touch, step, touch.
Okay.
So lead with the right. Ready?
Yeah, right.
And forward right, touch your left, forward left, touch your right. You can clap on the touches. Now we're going to back up on the right foot 5, snap on the fingers on and, step back on the left 6, snap your fingers and, step back right 7, snap your fingers and, step back left 8, snap your fingers and. So it's just 4 steps backs with the snaps.
Okay.
Let's try to add that nice and slow. Ready with the right, forward 1, touch and clap 2, forward 3, touch and clap 4, back 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and. One more time.
Okay.
5.
Yeah.
You all right?
I'm doing good, yes.
There we go. 5, 6. Ready with the right. Forward 1. Clap on 2. Forward 3. Back and snap. Now 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and. And if you don't snap your fingers, just make believe you're snapping them, right?
Okay.
Let's finish this up. We're going to walk around. We're just going to take 4 steps, walking around in a circle. Imagine there's this nice big wooden barrel of wine right here, right? And we're going to walk around it, 3/4 turn to face the wall that's on the left. Now we're leading with our right. So we're turning right, just walking around 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you're facing 9 o'clock. If you put the clocks up there, right?
Yeah.
Face 12 o'clock. Right toe is touched. We're going to walk around 4 steps. Ready? And walk 1, 2, 3, 4. So remember, it's going to end up 3/4 turn to face that wall that's on your left.
Yeah.
All right, turn to face me. So imagine we're still over there. We're going to now end the dance, taking a large step to the right, 5. We're going to step left next to right and put the weight on the left, 6. And we're going to end the dance with 2 heel touches, right heel and left heel, and. Those counts are 7 and 8 ends. So it's just right heel together, left heel together. That ends the dance. You'll be ready to go forward. Of course, you'll be facing your new wall. Let's try that again. We're going to lunge to the right. So this is the last 4 steps. We step side right 1. We step together with the left 2. Tap your right heel forward 3. Step together and tap your left heel 4. And weights on the left. We're going to stop the dance over again. Ready, angle forward right 1. Touch and clap 2. 3. Now you're back in snaps. Back snap, 7, and walk around 1, 2, 3. Step side right. 5, 2 heel switches, right and left and. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing good.
It's easier with music.
Good.
All right, you want to try it one more time?
I am. I'm willing.
Okay, here we go. Angle forward right. Count. Now you got to count your 8s, right? If you can count to 8, you're good. So count those 8 counts. 5, 6. Ready with the right. Step forward, touch and clap. Forward. Now back and snap. Back snap, 7, and walk around 3/4 turn right. Step side right. 5. Here's your heel switches, right and left and you're ready to begin. I can't tell if you're moving or not.
Remember, there's a delay.
There's a delay there. Let's try one more wall. We're going to try 9 o'clock, and then we'll put the music on for you.
At 9 o'clock.
5, 6. Angle forward and touch. 1. Again, forward and touch. Then back and snap. 5 and 6. And walk around 3/4 to your right. 1, 2. Step side right. Step together with the left and do 2 heels. Right and left and.
I think.
Let's put the music on.
All
It's
right.
more fun with music.
I also wanted to bring out 3 of our sons. We have
Okay.
5. So youngest is Zach.
Da, 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 da.
The oldest is Nate.
Okay. All right.
And
can I
number
go
3. So this is 1 and 5. And 3 is over there on the DJ thing.
He'll
So
join us after.
join us
Once
again?
he hits the music,
Right,
he'll
and that's
join us.
Addison.
now? Okay.
Are you ready? Face.
We got to
Yeah, we're gonna
face
face this way so they can see what we're doing.
Okay.
5, 6, 7. Forward right. 1, 2. Back and snap. 5 and 6 and walk around 3/4. Step side right. Step together left. 2 heel switches. We're gonna begin. Here we go. Count it. 1, 2, 3. Back and snap. 5 and 6 and walk around 3/4. Walk 2, 3. Step side right. 2 heel switches. Begin with the right. Forward 1. Forward left. Back and snap. 5 and 6 and walk around. Now 1, 2, 3. Lunge. 5 heel switches. Begin with the right foot. 1, 2, 3. Back and snap. Walk around 3/4. Step side right, step together. Heels. Begin. 1, 2, 3. Back and snap. 5 and 6 and walk around. 1, 2, 3. Step side. 2 heel switches, right and left. Begin with the right foot. 1, 2, 3. Back and snap. Walk around 3/4. Step side, heels.
What
Begin.
happened?
What? We good?
We're good?
You did great. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
No problem. Hopefully you had some fun with that.
I think that I could do that. I could do that. My wife Susan's a better dancer, but I could do that. We're gonna.
Well, we're going to have to see you when we open up first again, right?
Yeah.
When you open up, and I'm sure it's going to be sooner rather than later. We're coming down. I just had a couple of people in our office that are watching. They were kind of laughing at me, but they said I need to get up on the dance floor, so I'll get up there and do it.
This is the no laugh zone. When you come here, no judgment zone. We just have fun.
Yes, I know that. But anyways, you guys are great. And thank you so much for spending the time with us tonight. This is I was asked by someone, Dan and Kelly, what I enjoy about being a lieutenant governor. And it's about traveling around the state, meeting people that are really about Rhode Island. And you guys really represent that in many, many ways. So, yeah, we need to make sure that we keep on, advocating. And the people who watch this, hopefully they're going to be able to go down and see you at the Mishnock Barn very soon.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was
pleasure.
great. You
Anytime.
bet. Well, that was good. I mean, I hope that you didn't see me dancing because it wasn't all that great. But boy, Dan and Kelly, they really are quite a pair in terms of like providing some really great entertainment and exercise, and how we miss that in Rhode Island right now. And as Rosa just said, we need to go there. We'll bring our office there, Rosa, when the dust settles on this, and we'll figure out how to have a little fun with some of our friends for sure down there, and support our local small businesses, but also have a great time down in West Greenwich. So thank you so much for to both Kelly and Dan, and sharing their story and sharing their history, the Rhode Island history that they have, because they've been in business for so many years as a family, is a history lesson by itself. So this is great that we're able to do that. And Ben, we have a couple more guests, right, that are going to come on. We're talking about theme of entertainment and
yes,
theater.
We do.
And this is I'm looking right on my phone. I want to send you a.
Do you want to get some water?
Huh?
Do you want to get some water?
I know. I'm like winded, aren't I? They had me up there dancing. I hope that I wasn't on the screen making a fool out of myself, but that's
I tried to take you off, and you looked like you wanted to be put back on, so I just let you go on the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah, we have two more guests tonight who are both friends of mine and they are both in the arts and entertainment field. So
yes, let's bring them on. I was looking at a headline, and for some reason my phone is disabled for the next minute, so I must have pushed it off by doing that line dancing or something like that. But I do have a headline that comes from the Epic Theater that I would like you to kind of put up it on the screen, but it's quite a story about how the Epic Theater was able to kind of adjust themselves in a way that has been kept them in business. Anyways, welcome guys. Kevin, I was looking, and Michael. Kevin, I was just looking at a story in the Cranston Herald, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about your activities at the Epic Theater. But the headline says, the Epic Theater Company reaches over 5 million with digital programming. Tell us about the theater and how you kind of were able to get so many people to stay in touch with the work that you're doing at the theater.
Well,
that's the headline. Thank you.
Yeah,
yes.
Actually, and that was about a month ago. This month we actually cracked about 11 million. So we've been just going and going. That's because right when all of this started, we had already made a pretty big commitment to digital and to try and have a presence on social media. And so when all this started, and there was this question of how theaters could adjust, we started immediately producing digital content, both on Facebook, on Instagram. We are on Patreon, which for those people who don't know, Patreon is a place where you can find artists, and in our case, a theater, and you sign up and you just give like whatever you can every month, $5, $10. I like to say that it comes right out of your account. Like if you're a parent with a kid, like I was a college kid, it just came right out of my parents' bank account. They didn't have to think about it every month. So we've been able to kind of create little sort of mini talk shows and podcasts and all kinds of things like that. And we've really seen it be very successful for us. And what we're trying to do is just stay in people's vision. You know, obviously it's not as good as being in person, but it's a way to stay creative and show people the value of having creative content in their lives.
Yeah, and Kevin, I want to come back to this, in terms of how you made the adjustment and into the digital. And I was looking at your menu or your activities every night, with different artists and different presentation. I want to finish that story, but tell us a little bit about the Epic Theater, before the pandemic. What did that look like, and what types of programming did you have at the time, and the type of people, the venue that you're able to work in, and give us a little history on the Epic Theater. It's in Cranston, and many people may not be aware of it, just like the Mishnock Barn. I know if you just saw Dan and Kelly down there, but what a fantastic place that is. We want people to hear about the theater right now so that we can, spread the word as we move ahead. So tell us a little bit about the history of the theater.
So this would have been our 9th year. This is kind of a weird frozen year for most people, I think, but we would have been in our 9th season. We've been in Rolfe Square in Cranston. We're under the umbrella of this great organization called the Artist Exchange. And so they have 2 spaces. One of them is very small. It's about 35 seats. The other one is a bit bigger. It's about 80 seats. So we're able to put on plays in both of those spaces. And that's what we primarily do. We do contemporary plays, newer works, some classics. And we've been around now for going on 9 years. We are one of the smaller theaters in the state. We call ourselves, part of the independent theater community here in Rhode Island. And a lot of people might not realize, they know the big places like Trinity, which are wonderful, but there's actually a really thriving small art scene in Rhode Island too, especially in the theater community. And before all of this started, we were producing shows every single month. We were in the middle of a production that we were doing that we then shut down. And I tell people it's crazy to talk about March like it was 10 years ago, but that's kind of how it feels. And we left the theater and said, we'll probably need to shut down for 2 weeks and then we'll be back and, we'll just pick up where we left off. And so obviously that hasn't been the case, but it's been challenging, but it's also been interesting to find ways to adjust. That's what we do. Smaller theaters and smaller arts organizations are really good at being flexible and making the best out of whatever situation they find themselves in. So that's what we're trying to do right now.
I want to talk to Michael for a second. He's down in Westerly, and there's many small theaters down there that we visited. We were in the middle of one of our 39 tours, because there's 39 cities and towns when the pandemic hit, and we were in the middle of an art tour where we were visiting every community and seeing some art-related business or nonprofit. And so we had visited Westerly and saw them getting ready for their at the time for their Christmas shows, their Christmas Carol, I think it was, one of the small theaters down there, right down in Westerly. But Michael, tell us a little bit about your music, business or your music efforts, so everybody can kind of see that. The theme here of this program is the arts and music, about how this pandemic has impacted us, and what we're doing to kind of overcome the challenges we face, but also positioning ourselves to do better. So the Westerly pianist faces uncertainty during coronavirus outbreak. Unfortunately, that's what we want to talk about, and then we also want to be talking about the future as we get off the program, about how we're going to overcome all these challenges. But Michael, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about how you're overcoming the challenges that we're facing right now as a musician.
It's been tricky. I teach. I play a lot of. Well, I used to play a lot of gigs as well, and during the summer it was a little bit better because there was some outdoor gigs, and there's some outdoor stuff, and there's a lot of uncertainty now. And I teach some of my students online. Actually, that's actually an overhead camera for my hands.
Nice.
some in person. Obviously, we're trying to limit that the best we can, but also have to make money, and we of course follow the protocols that everyone follows, masks and all that. And I think what has to happen is that it has to be easier for artists to be able to access the lifelines that the state offers. And I guess what I mean by that is I had reached out to SNAP, a program I had never used before, and I was denied because I returned to school. I mean, if you're in school, you also have to work at least 20 hours a week. And I said, well, I used to work 40 hours a week and go to school for full time and hold a 4.0. And so I'm not working 20 hours a week because of the pandemic, but because of that, I have been denied that help. And I was told, and they were very nice on the phone. They said, well, this is federal law. And so there's nothing that we can do about this. And that makes it very difficult. Now, there are organizations in town and food banks and things like that you can go to. And I have a decent support network, so I'm not afraid to reach out. But I think a lot of people get left behind, especially in this industry. I've had a business for a while. It's completely over the table and legitimate, pays taxes in and all of that. But I think what happens is in this industry that there are sometimes folks who are not as well documented, and it's very difficult for them to get the help that they need. And we all know that the arts plays such an important role, right, in everyone's lives. So the art does not stop during a pandemic, but what's maybe stopped sometimes is the pay and the financial benefits from that. And there's a little bit of a long-term thing we have to talk about, because say the gigs all come back in March, there's a domino effect a little bit, whereas some of the gigs we got were from playing gigs, right? It was word of mouth. It was that we played this wedding and they saw us. And so there is uncertainty there. And that's where my current worry is that, do I make it? How do I get through this winter?
Yeah.
Facing these challenges when I am having a hard time harnessing the normal programs that the state has for people who are temporarily unemployed like myself.
Yeah, so sole proprietors like yourself, independent contractors like yourself, we've been really fighting for them to be included in these grants and that type of thing, and we've made some progress, but not enough. And so that's why I think you may have heard earlier that we're still advocating for more resources. There are resources, Mike, and this is what's concerning. There's resources that Kevin should be able to make available to himself and to the theater. There's federal dollars that can be allocated through the state to address the economic challenges that our small businesses are having and our nonprofits are having, and we just have not put enough money or resources into the mix to impact as many people as we need to impact. So I can tell you on the music side, we were visiting, like I said, music industry. We visited a music store in Cumberland, my hometown, and they brought me down to the basement and they showed me hundreds of instruments that normally be rented to the school bands, and they're sitting on hundreds of trombones and violins, and because there's not a place for them to actually rent those pieces of musical instruments. And I don't think, unless you really dig in to, who would ever thought that? I would never thought that. I see the music store in town and I know they do lessons and but a big part of that business has been turned off because the school bands are not operating. And there's this domino effect out there, Mike, that you're describing, that we need those stories told. And that's one of the reasons we're having these community conversations with Ben, is that literally thousands of people will see this broadcast, or will view at least in part of it. And the more we communicate to them your story, and in particular being a pretty much an independent contractor, right, in terms of your lessons and that type of thing. And we're forgetting that how important you are and how important Kevin is to the overall fabric of our communities. It doesn't matter if you're touching a handful of people or several hundred people, or in this case, which I'm astounded. I'm going to get back to Kevin and tell me how he was able to reach 10 million people. But Mike, just give us a little overview. You were teaching lessons before, and that's kind of not the same as it was once, before the pandemic hit, right?
Right. So I'm about 50% piano teacher and 50% a live musician / sound tech / anything in the industry. But as far as teaching, I guess it's a very challenging to teach music online. It is a hands-on experience, right? I want to show someone that
please.
This is my hand playing.
Yes.
And so where at first, when it was we did totally online lessons in March, like most in April, like most businesses had, we closed right down. We didn't know what we were facing. We went online, and that was okay for my advanced students, right? Because I can put the overhead camera and they know the C note and the G note, and I say, okay, just move your hand on C, and that's fine. But when they have just started, you can't teach a 5 or 6-year-old music online as easy, right? Because you need to actually show this is a C note and show their hand, right? It's very difficult for a parent to have to sit there and essentially teach their kid piano. And so there was a little bit of a drop off where some of my youngest students who had just started decided to wait. And we thought, as Kevin had said, we thought that wait would be very short, a month or 2 max. And, we haven't gotten back to normal. Now we have adjusted, and I talk with other musicians and music teachers in town weekly about how do we adjust to this. And we've gotten very good at teaching online, right? Like I said, I have an overhead camera which can show my hands. And I do have some students back in here now in person, obviously masked, right? We all wash our hands and all of that. And so I would say business is down a little bit, but I think that the students are struggling the most, right? A lot of my students who are online say, when I was in person, this was so much easier. And I say, yeah, this was meant to be done in person. And I think that struggle goes beyond music, and you can say it happens in normal schoolwork as well, right? It's a lot of it is teaching yourself when you're teaching.
Yeah. Mike, I've been saying now for weeks, and as a mayor, and I've been very involved with education, whether it's music or whether it's science or whatever it might be. But we're losing a huge amount of learning time right now. Our young students in the state, it doesn't matter if they're from middle income, high income, or low income, minority and non-minority. They go to private or public schools. You're basically saying the same thing. The students that are really interested in learning through you as a teacher, it's not the same experience online as it is in person.
Correct. And I returned to school myself to get the credentials to teach at a collegiate level. So I actually get it from both sides, where I'm pretty much taking classes online as well. So
yeah. Well, I want to come back to you. I want to ask Kevin a little bit about his digital, what he's doing currently, and the schedule and everything that you're providing. And then I want to come back with Michael, a couple ideas of what might be in your mind, Mike, what we should be thinking of, and that we're not thinking of right now to help and assist. And maybe you can take us out with a little music, as we finish off the program, if you're willing to do that.
Sure.
So, Kevin, give us, this digital thing really is tremendous, what you've done. And first, have you been able to access some of the grants in terms of redoing, reinventing your business? There's been a couple of those out there. Tell us whether you've been able to access, the Restore Rhode Island grant, which now nonprofits can go. I would imagine. Are you a C3 or a for-profit?
Yeah, we're a 501c3. We are a
Yeah.
nonprofit. Honestly, we've been so busy creating stuff that I think we're just now able to sort of get our, take a breath, because
Yes.
originally it was just about sort of like laying out the groundwork. I will say that one of the things I think that's made us successful is when we first started, I was doing a weekly, pretty much interview just like this, like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And I was talking to people from all over the state, and finally somebody messaged and said, you do know you can talk to people outside Rhode Island, right? You're not, this is digital. You can think bigger. And so I started reaching out to people from New England and then on the West Coast and all over. And, I'm someone who tries to find opportunity in crisis. Obviously, nobody would have wished for the situation that we're in, but if you can sort of figure out ways to maybe use some of these situations to our advantage. And one of the things it's really, really helped with is helping connect our group to other artists all across the country who are all, struggling in the same way that we're struggling. But it's so interesting to hear the similarities that you find, whether you're talking to someone from Seattle or Los Angeles or New York City. Where there's a lot more that we all have in common right now, which I think is kind of inspiring. And that's really helped also build the people that are coming to check out what we're doing at Epic. And it's also making us realize that accessibility is so important. It's so important that you find ways to get what you're doing out to as many people as possible. It's crazy to me that we have a program that we post every Tuesday. And when I look at the statistics, I see that we have people in Japan who are watching it. And I don't know what it is they get out of it, but I assume something. But I think that's really shown us that, the world is so much bigger than we sometimes think about when we get into our own little bubbles. And so that's been a big part of helping to expand outward.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. We're going to want to talk to you a little bit because we started what we called an International Economic Ambassador Program. We launched that out of our office in the middle of January, just before the pandemic. The idea was
to launch something.
Oh my God! It's, just like everybody else. But we've innovated in a space that was to identify people who live in the state of Rhode Island that have networks outside in other countries, and then to identify ways that we can share cultural experiences, but also economic experiences to help our businesses here and potentially even help the businesses in these other countries by helping our businesses. So we've been able to have calls all over the world. We've been New Zealand, Japan, Taiwan. These are all Australia, Germany. We've been in Brazil. We've been in Colombia. We've been in Peru last week in a call. So yeah, the world is a lot smaller. And what you're describing is very innovative, Kevin, in terms of the way that you've been able to plug in. Share with people about, say, if they wanted to kind of access your programming and, what's happening on a Monday, what's happening on a Tuesday, what's happening on a Wednesday. Share with that so that we can, invite the people who are watching this to, to plug into the work that you're doing.
So right now, if you're watching this right now, you might be watching it on Facebook. You can go to our Facebook page and that will take you to any of our other programming. But we have video content almost every single day. We have, right now in the month of November, we're doing basically, I don't know if anyone knows what NaNoWriMo Month is, but it's where a community of writers get together and they have page goals and they attempt to write a book in the span of a month. We're doing something similar, but with plays. So anyone that's interested in playwriting, I get a lot of messages from parents who have teenagers or young children that are interested in writing. And, writing is something it's a great thing to do right now. It'll definitely keep you occupied. And so that particular program is geared at all ages. But we have everything from cooking to every Sunday night. My friend Steph does makeup tutorials. We have a program tomorrow, Thursday, called Checking In, where it's two of our artists talking about a different topic every week that ranges from politics to, just sort of general life questions. And the goal is to just keep people engaged and to show people that artists are multifaceted. So, tonight, that cooking program I mentioned, my friend John, who's an amazing singer, director, actor, but also happens to be an amazing cook. So we've been tapping into the different talents that our artists have. So you can find us on Facebook, Epic Theater Company. You can find us on Instagram at Epic Theater Co. We are on Twitter, but it's just, if you've been to Twitter, it's a nightmare. I mean, we're there, but I don't necessarily recommend you get there. But definitely find us in those other places. And a lot of our program, like I said, is geared for everybody. So there's something for everybody.
Well, I think we've all learned something tonight, and I think the people who are watching this thing are going to really enjoy. As we're still hunkering down, right? I mean, we're still in this mode until those vaccines are here, and so people are at home and to be able to participate in an exercise like you're talking about, which is very theater, and that helps people feel good, and it helps people think about things. Your writing skill thing that you just talked about, what a possibility that is for people who have always thought about writing a play, or even applying that skill set into writing a book. This is when use our time wisely, right? Take advantage of our time frame. So Kevin, I'm going to encourage you to apply for some of these grants, though. I think you really do qualify, and I'll have Cheyenne in our office get back to you and share with you how that can be done. We want to get all those grant dollars out to as many of the nonprofits and the business community, small business community, as possible, so we can keep advocating for additional funding to help businesses and our nonprofits survive this pandemic, and be ready to really make Rhode Island this great place that it is. And I can see that the Epic Theater is one of those places that makes it as a great great state, Cranston. So thank you so much for being with us tonight. I really enjoyed your talk and the things you were talking about. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
That's great. Mike, give us a little quick overview of what we should be thinking about, and then if you thought about, bring us out on a little music as we end the program, as we reach the 8 o'clock hour. We got a couple minutes left, but
Sure.
What do you think that we should be doing to help these musicians that have had something really going well before the pandemic and now are struggling?
So I guess one of the big things is getting funds into people's pockets. I know that's easier, said than done. And again, my personal experience was that because I returned to school, I was denied a lot of this aid. That I was ineligible because I was a student, even though I had been working full-time and going to school full-time. And I was told that was because it was federal law. And I would ask, I guess, is there a way that the state can pass something that helps people in my situation, for one, and then also reaches out, to musicians, and says, hey, we have some of these, like there's grants for the businesses and stuff. How can we get some of this money right into musicians' hands, right? And that is the biggest thing, because arguably our industry bore one of the largest brunts of this, right? We don't have gigs currently, and that's very difficult. So I'm lucky that I also teach, which is the only saving grace I have had. If you are only a gigging musician, you're kind of a little bit in rough straits now. And that doesn't mean you can't share your art, right? We are all sharing our art. I can play shows. I can put up a Patreon. It's not quite the same. We all want the same thing everyone wants, and that's to be comfortable with a steady income and to work for it, right? No one is just trying to say, hey, give me money. It's let me get through this pandemic so we can come back out and bring the art to you again, right? Because when this is done, we are all going to need art. We're all going to need the music. I can't wait to sit in a concert hall, to sit in a theater, and to hear the final notes ring out so I can jump up in my seat and applaud. Everyone knows that feeling. We all know that feeling, that quick moment of silence. And for some people, it's the terror of, is this actually the end? Should I clap now? But it's a moment of joy, right? And so I guess that's it. It's just that we need to reach out. We need to say, hey, how do we overcome these barriers, like being denied from certain programs due to kind of weird regulations, right? Like
Yeah.
return into
Mike,
education.
we're gonna reach back out to our office and get a little more detail on that and see where we can plug you in, because there should be that shouldn't be happening. And especially, this is an extraordinary time, by the way. And I've been telling small businesses I visit, they say, "Oh, we're kind of making it." I says, "No, still apply for those grants. This is extraordinary time. This is not, well, I can make it on my own type of thing. This is when we really need to be working together and really covering for one another and advocating for one another." So we'll be in contact with you. Ben will give us your contact information, and then just kind of drill down a little bit more on your individual issues. But as we learn about individual issues, we learn a lot about, you're not I'm not the only person going through what we're going through, or you're not the only person going what you're going through. So we learn every day by people sharing their stories. And so we'll reach back out to you. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your story. I don't know if you want to give us a little twinkle on the ivory here as we leave. That would be okay with me, but
sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Wrap myself
let's
up
do
in
it.
wires. That's the fun thing about like the setup.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Really
You're
appreciate it. Kevin,
Thank
thank you for sharing. We'll be in touch back in touch with both of you. What an extraordinary presentation you both gave us about the importance of our art, the art in our state, music, theater. It's in all our communities. Tonight we talked to Mike from Westerly. We talked from in Cranston. So it's all over our state, and we need to celebrate that. And it's worth celebrating. But we also got to understand that this extraordinary time, it requires extraordinary measures, and the state should be doing everything it possibly can to help Kevin and Mike out in terms of like making sure they sustain themselves during this this pandemic and the economic crisis that it's brought on in many families in the state. So I want to thank you for joining on tonight's Community Conversations. I hope that I didn't alarm anybody with my two left feet, but Dan and Kelly were great, and of course the theater and as well as the music by Mike, wonderful. So I'll be back next week. Stay safe until we get back here, but we'll have another really important story to tell. I noticed Ben's putting about donate to the Rhode Island Military Family Relief Fund. That's helping our military families who are home while those men and women serve to protect our freedom. So, please take a look at that as well. That's an important project that we're working on. And Operation Holiday Cheer will be on Saturday. So Saturday we'll do Operation Holiday Cheer. We're going to get care packages with with the Blue Star Moms out to those men and women who are serving outside the state of Rhode Island or active duty during the during the holiday season. So thank you all for being here. That was great. I enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. Stay safe.